Today we have a super fun build that is one of the best I've ever made. Now this build is not the GOAT, it is not the greatest of all time. Instead, it is the JOAT, the jack of all trades. This build takes all of the skill proficiencies, a ton of expertises, and is just a real brutal skill monkey that is just great at everything. So without further ado, let's get into it. The JOAT is a build that orients towards skills rather than combat, so it's going to be a great utility outside of combat, but for that reason we are going to be focusing more on the skills rather than the combat side of things. To start on this, let's look at our background. The background I'm looking at the most is Charlatan, but we can really take any background that has the feat Skilled. Skilled is an origin feat that allows us to pick up 3 skill proficiencies, and this is where we're going to get a ton of our skill proficiencies. It doesn't really matter which ones we take. From this background, we also get Deception, Sleight of Hand, and the Forgery kit as a bonus. So right now, even just with our background, not even including our species, not including level 1, we have 5 skill proficiencies out of the 18 total. Next, we look at our species, and for the same reason that we took the Charlatan background to get the skilled feat, we're going to go with Human. Human allowing us to pick up an additional origin feat lets us pick up Skilled once again, giving us 3 more proficiencies, and then we also pick up the Skillful part of being a human, which allows us to gain 1 additional skill proficiency. And on top of this, Human also gives us Resourceful, which gives us 1 heroic inspiration each long rest, which is great at just being more consistent. Heroic inspiration lets us reroll any dice roll, so we can do it for damage, we can do it for a saving throw, or most importantly for this build, we can do it for our skill checks. To continue our level 1 character, the next thing we're going to do is go level 1 into Rogue. Now the reason we're going Rogue is primarily that Rogue gives us the most skill proficiencies in our first level. Rogue gives us 4 skill proficiencies as opposed to something like Bard giving us 3 and most other classes giving us 2. So this just gives us an extra 2. So now we are up to 13 out of 18 at level 1. And this is where we get into our stats with this character. With our level 1 going into Rogue, we know that we want to prioritize Dexterity, and then Constitution is always good, even though it doesn't go into any skills. We want that to be decent so that we can, survive. But beyond that, I want to prioritize Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma, all to be decent. They don't have to be high, but we don't want them to be negative, so because those contribute to a lot of skills. Then we can probably dump Strength, as only 1 skill associates with it, being Athletics. Level 1 in Rogue also gives us our first round of Expertise. With level 1 in Rogue, we get to pick up 2 expertises. Again, doesn't really matter what we put it into. It depends how you want your playstyle. If you want to index a lot on dexterity skills, stealth and sleight of hand are great and allow us to really double down there. Or you can buff up some of the other ones that you might not be the strongest in. Maybe Persuasion and Insight if our Charisma and Wisdom aren't as high as we would like. Level 1 in Rogue is also where we pick up almost all of our combat. We get Sneak Attack, we get Weapon Mastery. These allow us to define what kind of rogue we want to be. Because we're investing a lot into our other skills other than Constitution, I'm looking a lot at using our Weapon Masteries on a bow to try and be a ranged playstyle so that we can get more survivability through our range. Now that isn't to say you couldn't do a melee build with this. I think taking Nick with daggers or something like that can do a lot of damage and be really consistent for our damage. I am playing it more safe because I assume our Constitution is going to be lower. Now our 2nd and 3rd levels are also going to go into Rogue. Rogue 2, we don't really get anything for skill proficiencies, we get Cunning Action, making us better in combat. Level 3, we pick up Soul Knife, which is what I'm more excited about. And I'm more excited about Soul Knife because it gives us something for combat and it gives us something for skill. For combat, we get Psychic Blades, allowing us to just up our damage, be a bit more consistent there with our Sneak Attack. However, the one I'm more excited about is our out of combat feature, Psi Bolstered Knack. Now what Psi Bolstered Knack does, it allows us to roll a psionic die, which for now is a d6 but it'll scale later, and add it to any skill check that we are proficient in. This is amazing for us because we're already proficient in 14 out of 18 skills, so we're rarely going to be rolling a check that we're not proficient in, meaning we can add this d6 super reliably to our skill checks, making us that much better. At Rogue level 4, we are picking up a feat. The one I'm mainly looking at is the Skill Expert feat. Now the Skill Expert feat doesn't give us the most proficiencies. It gives us 1 more skill proficiency and it gives us 1 more expertise. Both of these are great, but why aren't we taking skilled to get 3 more skill proficiencies? The reason I'm mainly looking at skill expert is because it gives us the +1 to our dexterity or any ability of our choice, allowing us to round out our dex, making us just a more well-rounded character in combat and out of combat. I think that this is more important than the 2 other skill proficiencies because we're going to pick those up later anyways. Level 5 and 6, we're still going to go into rogue. Level 5 gives us some minor benefits with uncanny dodge and cunning strike, upping our survivability and upping our utility in combat. We also get expertise at level 6, giving us 2 more expertises, leaving us with 5 total expertises, which is already crazy for this character. And our last level in rogue for now is going to be rogue 7, and the reason we're going to here fast is to get reliable talent. Now, reliable talent makes it so that whenever we use a skill or a tool that we are proficient in, the minimum we can roll on that roll is a 10. So automatically at level 7, say we're rolling for strength, which is going to be our worst skill. We have a -1 in strength. However, our proficiency bonus is +3. The minimum we can roll on an athletics check if we're proficient in it is a 12. And if we're proficient in it, we can add bolstered knack, adding an average of 4.5. So now we're rolling an average of 16.5 minimum on these athletics checks when we need it. This is how good this skill build is even on our worst skill, we are insane. If we're doing something like dexterity with expertise, we could be rolling a 20 minimum plus bolstered knack. Now at level 8, we are going to divert from rogue and we are going to go into bard. The first level in bard gives us 1 more skill proficiency from our multi-classing, and this can be a skill proficiency in any skill of our choice, taking our total to 15 skill proficiencies. This level in bard also gives us bardic inspiration, so now we can help our team be better skill monkeys, and it also gives us spell casting, just allowing us to have more utility, as sneak attack is probably still better for inside of combat. Level 2 in bard, we are going to pick up another expertise, so now we have 7 expertise. This is a crazy amount of expertise for this build. We also pick up the normal jack of all trades, which for now is only going to be used on like 3 skills. It's mostly useless because we have that many skill proficiencies, which is something I think is crazy. Now our 10th level, or our 3rd character level, gives us lore bard, giving us cutting words, which is a good survivability feature, good team support feature, and it also gives us our last 3 skill proficiencies, maxing out our skill proficiencies at 18 out of 18 skill proficiencies that we have, 7 expertises, reliable talent, bolstered knack. We are just doing great on this build. Now, we probably could have gotten all of these skill proficiencies before level 10. However, what I love about this build is the amount of expertises we have, 7, which is crazy, and also the reliable talent is what makes this build great. Now, this build I think is going to be awesome. It's going to be something where in a campaign, you are going to be consistently one of the best characters outside of combat. In combat, you're not great, but that's fine because you can let your party shine in combat. You shine outside of combat. You are a super consistent character outside of combat, providing so much utility for the team in your skills. Now, this build might step on the toes a little bit of other people in your party, but I think it is going to be an assistance more than a hindrance for the party dynamic, making it so that you are always available to clutch up some skill checks. This is one of my favorite builds that I've seen in the new Player's Handbook, focusing all around the skilled feat. Let me know what you think about this build and how you might do it better, what other things you would add to this, how you would make it that much better. But with that, this is the JOAT, and we'll see you on the next one.